Every once in a while, something gets put out by a financial institution that is worth paying attention to. And I just read one of the most important pieces a financial institution has put out in probably the last decade. Now, it came from a gentleman named Zoltan Pulsar. Most of you don't know who that is, but he's really, really important. He currently is the global head of short-term interest rate strategy based in New York. Before he joined Credit Suisse in 2015, he served during the global financial crisis at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. He was in charge of market intelligence for securitized credit markets, and he was the point person on market developments for the Fed, the Treasury, and White House officials throughout the entire global financial crisis. Then he was a visiting scholar at the IMF, and then, of course, he served as a senior advisor to the U.S. Department of the Treasury right before he joined Credit Suisse. Zoltan is the epitome of an insider, of part of the establishment. He not only knows who the players are, he knows how they think, he knows the decisions that they make, and he is tapped into exactly what's going on. Now, this letter came out, and what it's titled is Bretton Woods 3, which immediately caught my attention. And so if we go ahead and we take a look, here's how Zoltan started the piece. He said, "We are witnessing the birth of Bretton Woods 3, a new world monetary order centered around commodity-based currencies in the East that will likely weaken the euro-dollar system and also contribute to the inflationary forces in the West." He then continued and said a crisis is unfolding, a crisis of commodities. Commodities are collateral, and collateral is money. And this crisis is about the rising allure of outside money over inside money. Bretton Woods 2, the system that we're leaving, was built on inside money, and its foundations crumbled a week ago when the G7 seized Russia's FX reserves. Now, Zoltan, in the middle of the article, went ahead and said the aggressor in the geopolitical arena is being punished by sanctions, and sanctions-driven commodity price moves threaten financial stability in the West. We know that commodities are actually exploding in price. Is there enough collateral for margin? Is there enough credit for margin? What happens to commodities futures exchanges if players fail? Are CCPs bulletproof? He then goes on and says, "I haven't seen these topics in the wide offering of financial stability reports. Have you? Is the OTC commodity derivatives market the gorilla in the room? The commodities market is much more financialized and leveraged today than it was during the 1973 OPEC supply crisis. And today's Russian supply crisis is much bigger, more broad-based, and much more correlated. It's scarier." Now, Zoltan finished his piece, and he said, in this instance, price instability, the surging and collapsing commodity prices, it feeds financial instability. Margin calls may trigger the failure of some smaller commodity traders and maybe even some commodity exchanges. He then said, again, commodity correlations are at 1, which is never a good thing. The Fed and other central banks will be able to provide liquidity backstops, but those will be band-aid solutions. The true problem here is not liquidity per se. Liquidity is just a manifestation of a larger problem, which is the Russian, non-Russian commodities basis, and only China will be able to close that. He then finished up saying, "Do you see what I see? Do you see inflation in the West written all over this like I do? The crisis is not like anything we have seen since President Nixon took the US dollar off gold in 1971, the end of the era of commodity-based money. When this crisis and war is over, the US dollar should be much weaker, and on the flip side, the renminbi much stronger, backed by a basket of commodities. From the Bretton Woods era, backed by gold bullion pre-1971, to Bretton Woods 2, backed by inside money, to Bretton Woods 3, backed by outside money, gold bullion and other commodities. After this war is over, money will never be the same again. And Bitcoin, if it still exists then, will probably benefit from all of this." Zoltan is an insider. He understands this world better than anyone, putting out a note titled Bretton Woods 3 from Credit Suisse, talking about the failures of the Western world, talking about a weaker euro-dollar system, explaining how the East, the PBOC, China, and a commodity-backed money is on the rise. The world order is shifting. The monetary order is shifting as well. If you're not paying attention, I highly suggest you tap in. Start understanding what's occurring, because quite literally, your financial well-being may depend on it. Hey you, did you like this video? Great, we make 5 of them a day and post them here on this channel. Make sure you're subscribed, like the video, and see you next time.